Alright, let's talk about the EuroLeague salary cap. And yes, you heard that right, a salary cap. This is something that's been floating around for a while, but now it's official. The EuroLeague is introducing a salary cap for its teams. And if you were wondering what this means for the team that you support or your favorite players, I'm here to break it all down. So, first things first, why are they doing this? Well, the EuroLeague says it's to promote sustainability and create a more competitive balance across the board. In other words, they're trying to make sure that the rich teams don't just solve their problems by throwing cash at them, while smaller teams struggle to keep up and sit at the bottom of the standings. Don't get me wrong, the fact that some clubs are able to put together huge budgets is overall a good sign for European basketball. But with this semi-closed EuroLeague, no draft incentives, we do have an issue of seeing the same 5-6 teams always at the top. Another issue is that to this day, making the budget numbers public wasn't a priority, which led to some financial issues and fines for some clubs in the past. So long story short, the salary cap aims to level the playing field a little bit and also help the transparency of the league. Now, this cap won't just drop out of nowhere. It's going to take a couple of years to go into effect. Full implementation won't happen until 2027-28 season, but clubs are going to start preparing for it as early as this 2024-25 season. That gives some time for the clubs to adjust to this new financial reality, but trust me, it's going to change things big time. So how is the salary cap even calculated? Is it just going to be the same as in the NBA? Well, the flat-out answer would be not really, but it's something along the same lines. The NBA uses a league-wide salary cap that is calculated based on the overall revenue of the entire league. That is known as basketball-related income, meaning the salary cap is the same for every team and is dependent on every team. The EuroLeague's idea is a bit more flexible and only looks at the revenue of the A-licensed clubs. It will be based on the average of each licensed team's revenue over the last 2 seasons. Basically, they will look at the money that the clubs make during game days, which is tickets mostly, then sponsorships, and also this mysterious other, which means anything from merchandising to random sources of income. Now, the way that it works is that the salary cap is split into 3 different levels: low, base, and high. The low level is the easiest one. It simply states that the teams must spend at least 32% of the average licensed club's revenue. Okay, let's say in the last 2 years, the 12 A-licensed clubs make 120 million euros, for example. That would put the average at 10 million euros, which is very convenient for this example, I know. Anyways, the minimum teams would have to spend then would be 3.2 million euros on salaries to meet the low cap. The base salary level allows teams to spend 40% of licensed clubs' average revenues, which in this case would be 4 million euros. And then for those clubs that are rolling in cash, the high cap allows them to spend up to 60%, which would be 6 million euros. Of course, these example numbers are a bit random, and I know what you're thinking, this sounds like not a lot of money for the salaries. But like I said, I took the 120 million euro revenue as an example, so it's easier to understand the numbers. Besides that, there are many exceptions that will allow teams to technically spend over that cap. Exceptions include 2 so-called anchor players who, in other words, are just 2 of your best paid guys. Then there are young players who are under 23, also guys who get injured for a long time and are still under contract, and even players that have been loyal to the same team for more than 3 years. So if your star player tears his ACL and is out for the season, his salary won't count toward the cap while he's in rehab. And for those loyal veterans who have stuck around, only 25% of their salary counts towards the cap. Also, there's going to be this thing called medium range exception, but to be honest, if I try to explain to you what it is, I think you would only leave this video even more confused. Finally, there's a luxury tax, just like in the NBA, kind of. If a team goes over the cap, they have to pay a tax, and that money gets split among the teams that stayed under the cap. So the idea is pretty simple. If you're a big club and you like to throw your money around, in a sense, you're gonna support the smaller clubs as well. But of course, this isn't just about punishing or limiting the big spenders. The league is trying to make sure that the clubs don't underspend either. Teams have to meet that 32% minimum or else they'll face penalties. This way, the EuroLeague just wants to make sure that enough money is going toward player salaries to keep the product on the court at a high level. So, what does it all mean for the future future of the EuroLeague? Well, on one hand, it could definitely be a good thing. By putting some financial limits in place, it could give smaller budget teams a better shot at competing with the powerhouses. Another thing, it should promote the idea within the A-licensed clubs to strive for as much revenue as possible, hopefully attracting more sponsors, selling more tickets, and investing in merchandise, which in turn would grow the league itself. But on the flip side, there is a question whether this could hurt the league's overall quality. With a salary cap that is based on revenue, there is a risk that the revenue won't be high enough to keep the top-tier talent in Europe. You think about markets where basketball is popular and relevant in Europe, then you think about teams that are sustainable and make a profit, and there aren't really that many. So if in the end result, the salary cap will only mean that the players are getting less money, I think this will hurt the league big time. Otherwise, I think it will definitely impact how teams build their rosters. For the general managers, directors, owners, whatever, I think they won't be able to be so aggressive in the free agency market and will have to be a bit more strategic. Those teams that have been used to just put all the cash on the table will have to adapt, and we might see a lot more creativity in how rosters are constructed. We might finally see more emphasis on developing young talent, since U23 players are mostly exempt from the cap. Now, the final interesting point about all this is whether player salaries will become public because of the salary cap. In the NBA, we know exactly how much each player makes, and fans can speculate all they want about whether a player is worth their contract. But in Europe, this has been more of a taboo topic. Paulius Motiejunas, the CEO of the EuroLeague, has said he's hopeful this cap will lead to more transparency, with the average club revenues being published by 2027. He has also said in the past that he would like to see the player salaries being public, but this is the question. Is it only going to be that average sum of all the A-licensed clubs that's gonna be public, or is it gonna be the actual player contracts? Either way, this salary cap is going to bring some serious changes to the EuroLeague. It's definitely a bold move, and only time will tell if it's the right one. I'll actually just leave a link in the description where you can check out all the actual numbers, facts, and detailed descriptions of how this salary cap will work. But anyways, what do you think about it? Will it level the playing field, or will it just cause more problems for the league? Let me know in the comments below. As always, make sure to like this video, and even more importantly, subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one.